Hello everybody and welcome back to Controlled Chaos Gaming. My name is Andy and today we are showcasing old decks, the Giratina VSTAR and Gardevoir EX, featuring some new Paradox Rift cards, such as Counter Catcher and Scream Tail. So on the right side we have myself playing Gardevoir EX, and on the left side we have Breeze playing Giratina VSTAR. But before we get into the match, let's take a look at our sponsor. Head on over to Kayfabe Cards in Riverton, Utah for all things tabletop. This store is home to Pokemon, One Piece, Flesh and Blood, and more, selling both singles and sealed product in-store and online. You'll find their massive assortment of Pokemon plushies, sleeves, deck boxes, and other staple products. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to Kayfabe Cards. We'll see you there. Alright, and here we are getting into the match. It looks like it is a Greninja start for both players here. And the player going first is going to be the Giratina. So using that concealed cards to draw 2 cards, benching a Comfey using a switch card, and immediately starting off the Lost Zone here. Of course, to use Star Requiem and the attack Lost Mine, you have to have 10 cards in the Lost Zone. So that's definitely what they're going for. Going to use that Battle VIP Pass here to grab 2 Comfey, as it is the first turn of the game. Taking a quick prize check here. Of course, as the Giratina player, you're really wanting to capitalize on checking for those energy cards, as well as your key supporter cards like Boss's Orders, Colress's Experiment, Roxanne, Iono. And also, another good card to check for is that brand new Counter Catcher. Counter Catcher can bring up an opponent's Pokemon as long as you're behind on prize cards. Here we see an attachment to retreat and use another flower selecting here. We already see one Giratina VSTAR in the Lost Zone, and it looks like it's going to be a Giratina V to join it. Of course, the Giratina VSTAR deck does run 3 of each, so this is not too bad. Passing over to the Gardevoir side, it looks like there's an Artisan and a Fog Crystal, so going to have access to a couple of Pokemon. Looks like grabbing the Mew with Fog Crystal and the Manaphy with that Artisan. Looks like attaching for turn to that Greninja, and gonna use concealed cards. And there's a Battle VIP Pass, so gonna search the deck for 2 Ralts likely, and make sure that there are another 2 in deck potentially for later. Of course, with the Manaphy down, this does secure that both of these Ralts are going to be safe for at least one more turn before there are 10 cards in the Lost Zone. We're going to see an Iono being played as well, so both players shuffling and putting at the bottom. And we're going to see a retreat into the Mew, and they're going to use that ability, Mysterious Tail. And it's another Battle VIP Pass, so going to fill up that bench with that last Ralts. Passing over to the Giratina side, we see a concealed cards here to draw some cards. A Super Rod, looks like shuffling back a couple energy cards. And they're going to use that Artisan. A really good option here is, of course, that Cramorant, as Cramorant can attack for free if there are 4 cards in the Lost Zone. But actually, they are opting to fail the Artisan, so not choosing to put down that Cramorant. Curious to see where this line of play takes them. We see a flower selecting here. Getting rid of a grass energy, of course, does have knowledge of the prize cards, so can reliably get rid of at least 1 or 2 of the energy cards. And we see a Colress's Experiment here, looking at the top 5, getting rid of the Battle VIP Pass and water energy. And we'll see what else happens this turn. Ideally, they'd like to get to 7 cards in the Lost Zone so that they can power up their Pokemon using Mirage Gate. Looks like flower selecting here, gonna get rid of a second grass energy. Very interesting. And a retreat here to grab that other Comb Phase Flower Selecting card. And they're going to get rid of a switch card. So that is now 7 cards in the Lost Zone. And they're going to use a Nest Ball here to grab a Giratina V. This Giratina V can either use its Shred attack or Abyss Seeking, but it looks like they're going to opt to power it up. So we might see a Shred here. Going to use this Mirage Gate to attach a Water Energy to the active and a Psychic Energy to that Giratina V, and a Switch card, keeping that energy on for later. It looks like we might see an Abyss Seeking, and that's exactly what we see, so choosing not to go behind on prize cards. Looks like a tough choice. They're going to get rid of a Colress's Experiment and a Manaphy, choosing to keep Path to the Peak and that Cramorant in hand. And on the Gardevoir side, we see a couple Kirlia come into play off of an evolution. And we're going to see an Ultra Ball as well. So the Ultra Ball getting rid of an Artisan and a Cresselia. The Artisan getting rid of that is very sketchy. Of course, the Giratina side does play multiple Path to the Peak, so we might see that come into play this game. We're going to see a Mysterious Tail once again, looking for a rare candy. Nothing there but a Battle VIP pass. Going to use that Battle VIP pass to use Refinement, discarding a card and drawing 2. And we're going to see a second Refinement, actually getting rid of that Super Rod, a very crucial card in this matchup. Especially if the Manaphy goes down. And we're going to see a pass of the turn, so pretty passive turn here, nothing too crazy. And back over to the Giratina side, again, neither player wanting to take prize cards, especially because of the Counter Catcher, that brand new card. We're going to see a second Mirage Gate here, which is going to put a Psychic Energy onto the active, and it looks like that's it. So likely has a Grass Energy in the hand for this Giratina V to attack. It's going to be a Colress's Experiment here, looking at the top 5. Lost Zoning, definitely a Battle VIP pass. Let's see what this other card is. And it's going to be a Psychic Energy. Going to attach that Grass Energy from hand, and we'll see that Nest Ball, likely going to grab another Giratina. Oh, actually opts for the Sableye. So Sableye, of course, really good in this matchup, as you can kind of ping down the Kirlias and Ralts before they evolve. And we see the Shred knockout. And back over to the Gardevoir side. They're going to use Refinement here, getting rid of a Gardevoir, a very interesting choice, and a Psychic Energy getting rid of with that second Refinement. Does have access to, looks like, a Shining Arcana Gardevoir in hand, so they are going to use that ability to draw a couple cards. Really looking for a rare candy. Going to use this Artisan here for another Ralts. Really just trying to get something established for this turn, and likely trying to take a knockout on this Giratina V. Looks like a Counter Catcher is the choice though, so bringing up that Comfey, and gonna use Avery to get rid of 2 more Comfeys. A rare candy into that Gardevoir here, and looks like all the energy are just stuck in their hand, so they're gonna, looks like, power up the active with a couple energy, and going to use that attack, Brainwave. Back over to the Giratina side, it looks like they're going to promote the Sableye. Of course, does not have access to any more Comb Phase, which could be good or bad. We see this Artisan here for a second Sableye, so really wanting to get established this Sableye chaining of attacks. We're going to see a Cramorant benched here, and looks like potentially a second Super Rod. We're going to see an Ultra Ball instead, so this Ultra Ball likely grabbing that V-Star, and there it is. So this Giratina V-Star does have access to Star Requiem with its 10 cards in the Lost Zone, but it also has access to the Lost Impact attack. We're actually going to see an Iono, so both players shuffling up and putting at the bottom. They're both going to grab 5 cards each, equal to the number of prize cards. And we're going to see Path to the Peak being played. That's going to be pretty hard to get rid of. And that Escape Rope. Looks like sending up the Radiant Greninja here, and the Cramorant is going to use its Spit Innocently attack to hit for 110 damage. We see a second Rare Candy come online, and we're going to use Shining Arcana here, and another Shining Arcana. Looks like one energy is going to choose to attach that to the Gardevoir. Going to see a Level Ball here, grabbing that fourth Kirlia out, likely used for Refinement this turn. And we're going to see exactly that, Refinement, discarding that Kirlia, drawing 2 more cards. Looks like does have access to Boss's Orders in this hand, but is actually going to use Professor Turo's instead. We're going to see the Gardevoir being promoted here, and a Screamtail being benched, but there is not enough energy in the discard pile to use this Screamtail. So it's just going to be a Brainwave for the knockout, and the Sableye is going to be promoted into the active. We're going to see a Colress's Experiment to start off the turn. Definitely needs to keep some of these cards, but opts to get rid of Path to the Peak and a Mirage Gate, so keeping that Boss's Orders and I believe a second Path to the Peak. Only 4 cards in deck, so definitely thinning is winning in the scenario, as the Giratina player, if they get Iono'd, will just draw into the 4 cards that they need. Looks like we're going to see a Lost Mine. We're going to put 10 on the active. Actually, it might be 6 and 6, so yep. Actually, looks like they're debating what they want to do. It's going to be 2 on the Kirlia, and 4 on the active, 6 on the benched Gardevoir. We're going to see another Shining Arcana attach 1 energy. And Shining Arcana again, attach another energy. So lots of energy in play now. Looks like lots of resources in hand. Is going to attach an energy to this Gardevoir, which is a pretty interesting choice. Definitely going to be used to retreat later on. We're going to see a Refinement here to discard a Level Ball, drawing more cards, and they do have access to that Iono, and that's exactly what's going to happen. So both players shuffle in, putting at the bottom. Breeze on the Giratina side is going to get 5, and myself, I'm going to get 4 cards. So we're going to see a Brainwave for the knockout here, going to 3 prizes remaining, and back over to the Giratina side. With this Sableye, if they can find an energy, they can actually take 3 knockouts, I believe. Or maybe just 2. Sorry, 2 knockouts, but knocking out both of these Gardevoir with Shining Arcana is going to be incredibly strong this turn. And there is that last Mirage Gate, so they're going to attach 1 energy to that Sableye. And it's going to be a Rock Sand here. Roxanne can be used if your opponent has 3 prize cards or less remaining. So that Roxanne is going to shuffle both players' hands into the deck, and on the Gardevoir side, it's only 2 cards drawn, and on the Giratina side, it'll be a fresh 6 cards drawn. So a very powerful card in the Giratina deck. We're going to see a Lost Mine to take a knockout on, looks like the Kirlia and the Gardevoir. This is actually a really smart choice, because that Kirlia could evolve into a Gardevoir with basically zero damage on it. It looks like we're going to see the Gardevoir be promoted. And we're going to see a Worker to discard the Path to the Peak and draw a couple cards. And we're going to see a Palpad here. So shuffling back the Turos and the Worker into the deck. Oh, looks like doing something else first. They're going to Shining Arcana first. And then they're going to use that Palpad. Wanted to increase the chances of hitting an energy card, but cannot attach that energy because that mana fee would become stuck if that's the case. We're going to see so we're actually going to see a concealed card, so going to draw a couple more cards here. And looks like going to be a Fog Crystal here for an energy. And we're going to see that energy attached to this Gardevoir EX. We're going to see the Psychic Embrace attaching 1 energy to the active here. And going to use Brainwave to go down to 2 prize cards remaining. So 1 more knockout on this Giratina VSTAR and the game will be over. Looks like they're going to draw for turn on the Giratina side, use a Nest Ball here. And it's for that Cramorant. That was the last card in deck, so they definitely need to shuffle the deck up. It's going to be a Path to the Peak here and an Iono, so they are going to have only 3 cards drawn. How many are they putting back? We're going to see both players draw some cards. Looks like 2 on the Gardevoir side and 3 on the Giratina side, leaving them with only 2 cards left in deck. And we're going to see the Spit Innocently for the knockout. So we really need to see the Screamtail with the Cape to take a knockout this turn. Oh, but we're going to see, let's see. Oh, tried to use a Counter Catcher. That is not possible at this moment. Looks like using a Super Rod. Going to see what they want back. Actually not going to use the Super Rod, so looks like they're going to try to use Psychic Embrace. I did notice this when watching this back. The Psychic Embrace should not have gone through because of Path to the Peak there, so this damage would not be marked, but it doesn't end up mattering in the end because the Giratina player just has it all. So looks like it's going to be a Roaring Scream. Again, not a legal action here with the Path to the Peak in play, but we're going to see a Jet Energy on this Giratina and a Boss's Orders to use Star Requiem. Star Requiem going to knock out, and there's the Luxurious Cape, but without that path bump, it was not going to be a win. So that was a great game. Hats off to Giratina for winning that one with the brand new cards in it. If you're excited to see these deck lists, make sure to go over to our Discord and check them out. And if you haven't already, go like and subscribe to our channel because we post content every single week. This week we're going to have another video for you, so stay tuned. Thanks again, my name is Andy, and this has been Controlled Chaos Gaming.